What you see behind me is my 1976 Ford. You'll notice it is missing something vitally important.
Hey, where are the white women at?
Let's 7-3 swap it.
I am all that is man.
Now you can see, if I step back over here, we have the front clip out of the way. We took the vacuum brake booster off to make room for the Hydro Boost once it's here. We took the pedal out of the way. We got the heater hoses down, all of that kind of garbage removed. Now we'll start cleaning off the firewall and prepping it for paint. We also notched this part of the seam weld because the up pipes of the 7.3 will actually sit right in here. So this needed to be notched just to clear the way for them.
It'll give us so much extra space in our room to do activities.
It's a little bit warm, but we're getting the firewall and frame all cleaned up. You can see we actually were able to strip some of the paint off, clean a bunch of the rust off of here, really take years of grease off of the frame here, getting her all prepped up, ready to be coated with something to make it look better. Today, let's do a little fabricating to make room for the 7.3. You can see this cross member. It's gonna have to be notched like this right here. But instead, I think I'm gonna get a little bit more creative. And if I come a little bit further, I think I'll be able to flip this over and reuse the part that I cut out. Now I got my line set, and you can see I came just a little bit further out than what was pictured. And we'll see what it looks like when I flip it around. We have a grinder casualty. So close. We'll see if the old Sawzall can just finish it. Light work. Here is my idea. If I can, okay. Here is the idea for it. We prop this in, and we weld her like that. I think it could work out pretty old tits, and it'll even have that nice little curve. It'll look dang near factory. There it is, all fit up. We'll get the arc welder and see if we can't lay a bead. Well, that's gonna be on hold for just a second. I can't figure that thing out. We got the welder figure out, and I'm not much of a welder, but I am a grinder. So you can see we got her welded in, grinded real smooth. Now let's pull this out of here, pull my heater box out of there, and we'll clean up this firewall and maybe get her painted. Okay, we got the brake pedal mount out of the way, we got the heater box out of the way, and we got this nasty steering shaft right here. Okay, firewall cleaned off. Now we got the engine bay black.
Wow, it's very nice.
Firewall ain't perfect, but I'm gonna heat shield it anyways. Looks pretty good to me. We got some really good heat shield, like aluminum face stuff with some nice backing. It's supposed to be rated to like 1800 degrees. Perfect for the firewall where the up pipes will be. And there is some insulation up. It's not the prettiest, not the ugliest. I like the black aluminum look. But with a diesel, I really feel like having that insulation there is going to be huge as far as keeping in-cab temps down. Didn't know, diesels actually don't create their own vacuum. So if you're in a scenario where you use a vacuum booster brake canister, if you're gonna run a diesel, you're gonna wanna have a vacuum pump to create the vacuum for your brake booster, or you find a company that makes a Hydro Boost brake kit. And I found one on Battleborn Brakes. It's actually going to keep the dent side master cylinder here, but the booster will be a Hydro Boost style, and it'll look factory almost, which is what we're going for. Let's see if we can build the Hydro Boost. Not build, it's just put together. This rod is supposed to have between no play or 0.05 inches of play with the master cylinder. I have here an engineer's tape, and you can see it's not the best. I did this with 2 hands before I had the camera, but I have half of those, which would be 0.05. This kit's super nice because you get to keep the 70s master cylinder, and then you keep your spacer and your little rubber boot, so it bolts up just like a stock booster would. Now we're just waiting for more parts. Now we have the entire front clip broke out into pieces. Well, we're this far apart on this headlight bucket. This plastic piece is actually busted, and I can't adjust my lights, so I need to get some of those. I'm gonna really clean up this core support. This inner fender is rusted all to hell. You can see it's real busted up right there. This one's not terrible. I probably can salvage that. Front fenders are solid as hell though. We completely tore that down to like every bolt was removed, cleaned up the rust with the wire wheel and some brake clean. We painted it up, bolted it back together. I did not paint the latch because I want it to work right. I'll probably hit it with some graphite, but that's good enough. Our clutch pedal is ready for the 460 EFI kit pictured here. Now, when you run a dent side, that firewall is actually too weak to support a hydraulic clutch. So you have to get something to brace your pedal. And I decided to go with the 460 EFI kit that goes behind there. It'll brace it. The slave cylinder will sit right around there. and then it'll be good. Today we're gonna weld the brace to the pedal assembly for my clutch with these very nice hand-drawn instructions. There it is, all set in place. So the brace is now welded up and the arm is also welded up. We're gonna let the water dry off because I cooled it off, and then we're gonna hit it with some paint. While we wait, let's get this heim joint put on this master cylinder piece. We cut this little end off, you put this end on, tighten the Allen key, and you have a way stronger push rod for your master cylinder. First coat down, looking factory. And now she's done being painted. They're not the greatest, but they ain't bad. Not too, a little dirty in there, but also not bad. Had to use a Sawzall to get them out. Let's take a break from the body mounts and see if we can't get that put back in. We have a master cylinder and a hydro boost. Pedals are in. I'm just gonna have to pop some holes through it for the slave cylinder and then hook up the linkages. The hydro boost is now mounted as well as the slave cylinder. Looks factory, and that's sturdy. Even got the linkage all lined up. Pedals work, this works. We're all good to go. Got a nice shiny Borgson steering shaft put in there, but watch this. This steering it's still a little loose, but it's a lot tighter than it was. Still waiting for the bearing to replace this plastic piece of shit. We took that ugly master cylinder out of there, got the new one in. Flare fitting. It's the wrong size. We were able to get that fuel tank out of here. Now I'll be able to get to my body mounts easier, put a sub box back here eventually, sound deaden this back part. GMT 800 seats for the win. They just fold out of here, right snide out of the way. And we got our hoses all prettied up and mounted in place. Got it even teed in here, and now we just need to tee into the power steering pump and the feed line to the power steering pump there, and we'll be all tits. We have this inner fender to replace this inner fender, so we can take the hardware and put it on there. That one's gonna be on hold because that one's actually on back order till the end of September. Paint that one all up. Now we'll pull this hinge off. We have now removed all of the body mounts. I mean, we're already this deep, we might as well change them. And those were in there extremely tight. And we also, we got the hinge and that little piece all put on the new fender. Bye-bye to this plastic piece of crap. This DRB fab bushing for the steering column, such an upgrade over this plastic piece of crap. And here is this solid steering setup. DRB fab bearing, Borgson shaft, 79 steering box, solid. We got the core support put back together, nice new plastics, all painted up nice, new headache buckets that I can adjust. If you plan on 7.3 swapping a dent side Ford, specifically a Highboy, there is one company, Ford all built, which is where I will be sourcing the pedestals for this swap. We got our engine mounts installed. These allow direct bolt up for OBS style 7.3 mounts, and they bolt into the frame of your Highboy Ford. And here is the e-pedal mount. This will work on any e-pedal from like 80 something on. You'll need it because the 7.3 is fly-by-wire, and that'll make it look factory. We also got the lifting plate for the 7.3. You can lift it with the chain, but this is gonna make it way easier. And we have our PCM and IDM mount for a 7.3. But the PCM mount works on any Ford. You need it for the 7.3 too. So in an attempt to get my emergency brake working, we ended up taking off the rear drum completely, and we found what I believe to be a leaking axle seal. That plus 1,000 stopping power. So I'm thinking we might end up going with a rear disc conversion on this because it's about the same amount of money as just buying new drums. We got our new body mounts installed, so she's sitting level again at least. Now we got the rear cab mounted tank out. We're still in need of a gas tank, so we went with this 32-gallon aero tank, and it finally showed up. We got the heart donor where the 7.3 will come from. We'll just raw dog it, no glow plugs. See what happens. Fires right up. Got the low mileage of 466,000. But the motor was just freshly gone through, and I got a good deal on it. Now, we got the drums stripped off the rear axle. She's completely naked. That aero tank is bolted up into place. We took the PTO engine off of the transmission, and we went ahead and gave it a clutch fork and the little plastic piece here that seals her up. And the rear hubs are just sitting here waiting for a disc conversion and an axle seal. Let's go ahead and get this 7.3 yanked out of here. She's getting a little more naked. And now we got the whole core support off of there. Bunch of the accessories taken off, turbos taken off. Working on getting the oil cooler, and all we have left is the engine mount bolts. 7.3's out, sitting on the floor. Donor truck, heartless. 76, ready for her turn. We cleaned up the 7.3 a little bit, got the fuel bowl off because I won't be running that anymore. Took the glow plugs and undercover valve harnesses under valve cover UBCHs, took those off, got it ready to bolt up the clutch and the manual transmission. Got the wiring harness removed from the donor pickup. Now we have this jumbled mess of wires here. They updated the mounts in the Super Duty 7.3s. They made them wider, but they also have more holes than necessary, which match the 6.0 pedestals pictured here, which makes me believe, because the 6.0 was being developed in the mid-90s, they knew that the 6.0 was going in here in 99 when the body style debuted. Here's a Super Duty 7.3 mount. Compared to an OBS, you can see the 2 bolts are closer where it goes through the pedestal, and there's 4 where it actually mounts to the engine side. And then it's wider on top of that. Another fun fact I discovered while browsing the interwebs, the spacer for the 4R100 and the E4OD is actually the same for the ZF5, and the ZF6 is the only one that uses the flat plate on here. But for some reason, nobody ever labels these as a ZF5, so you think that they're just impossible to find. We now have a new clutch installed. The ZF5 sitting to the back of the 7.3. An oil cooler rebuilt, just waiting on some engine side mounts. Spoiler, 6.9s do not work on a 7.3 power stroke. Got the under valve cover harnesses put back in, connected, painted the valve covers blue. We're deleting the EBP valve. We have the EBP valve deleted, controllers out. We pulled the up pipes off. We're going to put some bellowed on there so that they don't leak, and because they're so much easier to change when you can just sit on top of the engine than when it's tucked behind a firewall or right in front of the firewall. While we have the 7.3 out, we upgraded to some bellowed up pipes for this. We got our EBP deleted, our turbo mounted. We also mounted a 99 to 03 7.3 intercooler in the core support of my dent side 4. To show you how easy it is to mount this 7.3 intercooler to a dent side core support, we massaged this down a healthy amount. We cut the holes, pushed that through, and what I did is I flipped it upside. I'm gonna get rubber as vibration protection, but you had to, that got hammered in, that corner got hammered in, this corner down here got hammered in, and then I took the stock mounts, because it's upside down, drilled holes, and I put bolts through that and through the other side, and then this with the rubber mounts should hold it in there pretty steady. And then it comes through on the other side nice and clean right on the outside of the radiator. If we get really lucky, we won't even have to trim up the stock intercooler tubes, and that's going to be tits. Thinking we'll pull these up pipes back off and heat wrap them, because it's going to be so easy to do here, and it'll give us even more firewall insulation. Send off the entire wiring harness. This right here is what the wiring harness looked before. We're getting the harness shipped off to No Spark Innovations to build the standalone controller, so I don't have to try to be a wiring whiz. We're at a bit of a standstill waiting for engine mounts. I might be getting a 38R for it. If we need the disc brakes, we can put the hubs back on. So while we wait, I went ahead and measured and cut a hole for a ZF5. Now I'm really hoping that my measuring skills are close. If not, I got a big hole in my floor for nothing. Because we're impatient, we went ahead and heat wrapped the up pipes. Now that's going to do 2 things. It's going to keep the heat inside of the up pipes, which theoretically will help spool this, because you won't get any dissipation of heat, which won't let the air compact anymore inside of here, forcing the turbine wheel to spin faster because it stays hotter into the turbine wheel. Number 2, and the big one, is it will help keep the heat out and away from the firewall, helping to lower and keep in-cab temps comfortable. And also, because I'm bored and impatient, we went ahead and put the radiator on the core support as well, just to get an idea of how it looks, for no other reason than that. And as far as cooling goes, I wasn't able to use the Super Duty clutch fan because it actually hangs out a little bit further back than the OBS one. So I put an OBS clutch fan, and now a Super Duty plastic fan won't bolt up to the OBS clutch, but the 6-liter plastic fan will. So now we're going to save that inch or 2 of space and have 10,000 CFMs worth of air provided by this plastic fan. We're also going to ditch this 3-bolt starter. We're going to get a 2-bolt starter and take the nose cone and put it on a 6.7 starter. Should help a ton with getting it to start faster. We also went ahead and went with the OBS on top of the thermostat water neck, which is going to help with 2 things, because the Super Duty has that stupid hose that runs down here underneath the alternator into the radiator, and then you have to pull that anytime you want to change a serpentine belt. So now we won't have to do that because it'll go up and over, but it also will keep the inlet to the radiator on the same side as the stock dent side intercooler, or intercooler radiator. So now we won't have to change that out. We were able to get a 38R turbo. Now that's mounted up with a brand new compressor wheel in there. She spins pretty nice. We swapped the nose cones out, and that's a 2017 F250 starter on the 7.3. We got our motor mount brackets and our motor mounts bolted up. EBP deleted off of the 38R as well. We got the adapter plate bolted up, the calipers on there. The rotors mated to the hubs, but we're waiting for the axle seal because that one is too big. We are almost 7.3 bound. She's halfway in there.
All I do is win, 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 no matter.
She's coming along pretty good. We got her sitting inside of there now. And boy, does she look right at home. Highboys deserve to be diesel powered. This is the wiring harnesses I took out. You can see under the dash harness, the engine bay harness, a wiring mess. And this is the trimmed down, excellent small version that I have now, thanks to No Spark Innovations. So we started messing around with our standalone. Got a bunch of the connectors plugged in. We got our spider turned on. The intercooler pipes, I think we're gonna run this 6.4 intake, get a 45 boot right there, run it up and over. It'll sit approximately there. This is why you have to run the OBS fan clutch. Now that's a 6-liter fan because I wanted the better cooling. You could run the metal fan off of an OBS. I just wanted the better cooling of the 6-liter fan. There's the intercooler looking all factory. One downside too is the firewall of a dent side is not intended for a downpipe. So your stock downpipe will not clear this little nubbin right here. So I am currently in the process of building one that goes up and around the valve covers like that. And then from there, it'll 45 down again, go down. And then you can see this is in that little slot right there. That's where we'll try to get through. And the coolest part, the intercooler tubes actually line up. I was genuinely surprised that worked out the way that it did. And then this is really cool. We were able to find a glow plug light from a 1970 Ford. It'll look factory and it's super badass. It'll focus. The driver's side fender showed up. We have that test fitted in. This is mounted up. Core support's mounted. Now you can see how the intercoolers, the factory intercooler tubes line up with where I mounted that intercooler. And that was a very good guess. And I got extremely lucky with how nice it fits around and in between everything. This is the upper water pump neck off of like a 94 7.3 with that hose off a 94 because it's the only one that has the radiator with the outlet right here. We're gonna have to cut and splice that. The same as the bottom. This is off a 94 as well. We're gonna have to cut and splice that so it lines up there. But that allows me to use a factory dent side, well, not Champion 4-core dent side radiator. We got our downpipe built around, exiting out the bottom. We got some headlights in. We're running the wiring. That's what the downpipe looks all fitted up. Nice, custom around there. And then we're gonna tuck the wiring out of the way so it'll be clean, a little bit smoother in the engine bay.